This is Artemis Mission Control. Here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, the Orbit 1 team is handing over to the Orbit 2 team, now arriving on console. A live look inside Mission Control. We are now 2 days, 2 hours, and 35 minutes mission elapsed time since Orion launched atop the Space Launch System from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Our Artemis II crew is well on their way to the moon, now 127,840 miles from Earth and continuing to grow as the distance to the moon shrinks, currently 142,294 miles away. This a live view from a camera on the solar array wing on Orion, looking back at the spacecraft, and over there on the right side of your screen, home sweet home, our planet Earth. Earlier today, we were expecting to conduct the outbound trajectory correction burn. However, because our translunar injection burn yesterday was so precise, that outbound trajectory correction burn today was canceled, considering it not needed. As the Orbit 1 and Orbit 2 teams hand over, I am also handing over the Public Affairs console to my friend and colleague, Anna Schneider. She'll be continuing our live coverage. Again, we're here 24/7 throughout the mission, all the way through splashdown and recovery of our astronauts.
Houston, Integrity, can you please verify toilet is available?
Integrity, toilet is available. Go for use.
Thank you.
Integrity Houston, just wanting to let you know that we are going through our flight control room handover. I am bidding you farewell and appreciate getting the opportunity to support you thus far. And I'm leaving you in the amazing, capable hands of your favorite CTO. Have a good night.
Good night, Chris. It was a great day working with you, and safe travels. Enjoy training.
Integrity Houston, voice check on 1. We're setting up for a fanned DFQ.
We missed that call. Houston, can you repeat?
Yeah, we were doing some setup in prep for the SAT mode DFTO and needed to do a quick voice check, and we had you loud and clear.
We having the same, and I have 21.1.10 up on DU3 lower, and I am ready whenever you are. Please give us a call when you're ready.
And Victor, we copy you are ready for the DFTO. As we mentioned earlier, we'll delay it about 30 minutes from the start. So 20 minutes from now, you can expect a call up that we're ready to get going.
That sounds great. It's good to hear your voice, Jackie. How are we doing so far?
It's great to talk with you, and doing great. Keep it up.
Hey there, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie, it's so good to hear your voice.
Mojave.
Houston, integrity for acoustic monitor question.
Go ahead for acoustic monitor.
Hey, Jackie, I am doing my activity for the DFTO of the toilet acoustic monitoring. It's from earlier today, and the acoustic monitor is acting strangely. The battery was not indicating low. It was a yellow outline with a green interior. However, the acoustic monitor turns itself off often. It's hard to get past even the first menu or into the recording. I think I'll go ahead and try changing out the batteries just in case, but I wanted to let you know in case you have any ideas.
Okay, Christina, we copy on the acoustic monitor. We agree that trying to change out the batteries is a good first step, and we'll think about whether we have any other advice in case that does not work.
Copy, thanks.
Houston, integrity for AGA and exercise.
Go ahead.
Hey, Jackie, confirm you all are ready for Jeremy to start his exercise block.
Hey, great question. Thank you for checking. We still have a couple of things to configure before we're ready for active exercise.
Okay, if you're ready, I'll give you AGA readings, and then you can call us when it's time for exercise.
Send it.
Starter, CO2 is 2.0, O2 19.7. Cabin pressure is 14.1, and temp is 76.1.
Houston copies.
Good evening from Mission Control Houston inside the Artemis Flight Control Room. I'm Anna Schneider with NASA Communications, and the Orbit 2 team of flight controllers has recently come on console and have completed their handover with the Orbit 1 team. The Orbit 2 team on console is being led by Flight Director Paul Kanya. And next to the flight director there on your screen, you can see the Capcom or capsule communicator, who is Jackie Mahaffey, and she is the individual that is communicating directly with the crew on board the Orion spacecraft as it makes its way to the moon as part of the Artemis II mission. Jackie Mahaffey also served as the Artemis II training lead, so she has worked pretty closely with both the crew and the flight control teams as they prepared for this Artemis II mission. We are now 2 days, 2 hours, and 54 minutes into the Artemis II mission, following a launch at 5:35 p.m. Central, 6:35 p.m. Eastern on April 1st. The Orion spacecraft, which was named Integrity by its crew, is currently about 128,000 miles away from Earth and has about 141,000 miles between it and the moon.
HHP views Jeremy's about to start exercise. He's okay with that. Up to you, though.
We copied. Stand by.
And you just heard some communication there from NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman, who is the commander of the Orion spacecraft, down to the team here in Mission Control Houston. They have been discussing some upcoming exercise activities. So on the timeline, CSA, or Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, is scheduled to complete his daily exercise, and then Christina will complete her exercise as well. The crew uses a device known as the flywheel on board the Orion spacecraft to complete that exercise every day. While Christina and Jeremy complete their exercise, NASA astronaut Victor Glover is also scheduled to complete a SATBAN, or a search, acquire, and track DFTO, or developmental flight test objective. And then a little bit later in the day, NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman and NASA astronaut Victor Glover will also complete some checkouts of medical devices. And then all 4 crew members will work to complete some pre-lunar flyby cabin configurations as they continue on into their day. And currently on your screen, you are seeing a look at the Artemis Real-Time Orbit website, or AROW, A-R-O-W. This website is available to the public at all times at nasa.gov/trackartemis. And we provide this view when we don't have live views from the Orion spacecraft itself, but using this view, you can see the real-time data and telemetry coming from the spacecraft.
Integrity Houston for timeline, big picture this afternoon.
Go ahead.
Hey, we are wrapping our arms around some of the different DFTOs, the maneuvers that they require, the solar array configs that they require, and the fact that we've shifted the S-band DFTO a little bit relative to the planned exercise. So bottom line, we are not going to go for any exercise prior to the S-band sat mode DFTO. And during that DFTO itself, we go to BLDR, so we do not want the streaming set up from Orion Integrity because we don't have the bandwidth for it. After S-band sat mode DFTO, there will be a bit of a window to get exercise in, and then once we head into the EMERCOM DFTO and D5 camera imaging maneuvers, we will need to stand down from exercise again. How copy?
Copy all.
All right, and we still expect to pick up with sat mode in 10 minutes.
Okay, we copy. Standing by for sat pointing mode DFTO in 10 minutes.
Integrity Houston for Victor and the SAT mode DFTO.
I'm with you, Jackie.
Hey, we are ready for you to get going in that procedure. One answer for you in step 5.2, instruction 68. The answer will be yes, you would like to do that type of maneuver.
Yeah, Jackie, I'm sorry. We're sharing PCDs up here, and so I currently don't have one. I'm operating off of DU3 only. But Weed has one and it pencil out now. Can you just repeat that whole transmission?
Yep, and I think this is one we should have comms so we could also remind you right beforehand. But in instruction 68, the question is, will maneuver be a rotation around the biased tail to sun vector? And the answer is yes.
Okay, we copy. Thank you. Any other data I need before I get started with this procedure?
Nope, that's it, and we're ready for you to begin.
Copy and confirm you have step 1.
Concur, step 1 is complete, and we're ready for you in 2.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. You have been hearing some communications between NASA astronaut Victor Glover, who is serving as the pilot on board the Orion spacecraft, and the Capcom or capsule communicator here in Mission Control, who is currently Jackie Mahaffey, which you can see there in the center of your screen. Victor is currently working through a SAT mode DFTO, or a search, acquire, and tracking mode developmental flight test objective. During this DFTO, Victor is working to reconfigure the S-band communication system on board the Orion spacecraft. The Orion S-band communication system provides functionality of 4 radios in one and allows communication with multiple space vehicles as well as NASA's Near Space Network, NASA's TDRS system, and the NASA's Deep Space Network. Currently, the Orion spacecraft is working off of the Deep Space Network.
Houston Integrity commanding S-band to SAT encrypted pointing mode.
Houston copies, we're ready.
locked. It was 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Checking with you to proceed to step 4.
Houston, we have you loud and clear. We're ready for step 4. And Victor, could you read the instruction number of your step 4, please?
Step 4, titled Test 1, Testing Sat Mode Receive Link Recovery Capability, is instruction 43.
Okay, thanks. That is what we had. I think I misheard an earlier instruction call from you. Thanks.
That may have been just me telling you I was on the instruction that said to check with MCC, and that was a couple of instructions back. Houston, integrity, ready for receive link, loss of signal.
Integrity, we copy from the ground. We will implement the loss of signal. You can expect a 5 to 10 minute LOS and expect you may see your antennas cycling through looking for the signal.
Copy all, and we're watching.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. On board the Orion spacecraft named Integrity, NASA astronaut Victor Glover continues to work through the SAT mode DFTO, or the Search, Acquire, and Tracking Developmental Flight Test Objective. And he has been coordinating the steps and procedures between the team here in Mission Control Houston, namely the CAPCOM, or Capsule Communicator, who is currently Jackie Mahaffey. Of course, there's many other console positions here in Mission Control, but they all flow their information through the Capcom, and they serve as the single voice link. So for this particular developmental flight test objective, one of the main console positions working all of the objectives is the INCO position, and that stands for Instrumentation and Communication Officer, and they are responsible for managing the communication systems of the Orion vehicle, including the phased array antennas, baseband, signal processors, and audio systems. Alongside the INCO console position for this developmental flight test objective is the GC, or Ground Control Officer. And that position manages the team that maintains and operates ground and network facilities, including voice systems, building systems, redundant power systems, and more. And there you're currently seeing a live look inside the Artemis Flight Control Room here in Mission Control Houston, and it's actually just down the hall in the same building as the International Space Station Flight Control Room, which is continuing to monitor the operations of the International Space Station and that crew. So currently there are 2 different NASA crews flying in space. Of course, the Orion spacecraft and its crew, comprised of NASA astronauts Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover,
and Christina Cook, and CSA, or Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, on board the Orion spacecraft on its way to the moon. Yesterday, they completed the translunar injection burn, or TLI burn, which set it on its path towards the moon and back on a free return trajectory, and they are currently about 130,000 miles away from the Earth and about 140,000 miles away from the moon, so they're about halfway.
Houston Integrity, I am holding in instruction 59, checking with you to proceed to step 5. We are good and locked at about 2 minutes 30 seconds.
Victor, we have you loud and clear as well, and we are ready for you to proceed to step 5.
Copy, picking up step 5, instruction 62, test 2, testing sat mode, tracking through maneuver. 1 West 107 to go to step 595.
Victor, we had you loud and a little choppy, but copied. You're ready to proceed to step 5.5, and we are ready.
Houston Integrity comm check.
Integrity Houston, we have you a little quiet, but clear.
Awesome. And that one, it was only, it went back to locked and ping good in just seconds. It was definitely not minutes.
Houston copies.
And Houston Integrity instruction 136, desire to exit sat mode early. How would you like me to answer that question?
Yep, we would like you to answer yes. We'll go ahead and try to buy back a little bit of time by not waiting for those bailouts.
You broke up right when you gave me the important data, yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Copy exiting sat mode early. Houston Integrity commanding SD pointing.
Houston copies. You're commanding S-band to GNC pointing.
integrity sat pointing mode DFTO is complete.
Houston copies. We have a little cleanup from the ground, but that was an excellent test of that system. Things went very well. And we will work to get things in a config that supports exercise and let you know when that's the case.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We just heard some communications between NASA astronaut Victor Glover on board the Orion spacecraft and the Capcom or capsule communicator here in Mission Control, Jackie Mahaffey, as Victor was completing a developmental flight test objective for the SAT or search, acquire, and tracking pointing mode. And during this objective, Victor...
For a quick science observation.
Go ahead.
Hey, Jackie, while Ike was busy doing that DFTO, he inadvertently put the moon directly in the center of the docking hatch, and we took some long lens photos, and we can see all of Oriental and maybe even a bit of the annular ring. So we know we aren't in Earth orbit, low Earth orbit anymore.
Some faces just lit up at the science console, and we appreciate the call and look forward to the photos.
We'll put him in the PAO downlink, thanks.
And Houston integrity, just finalizing the DFTO. Something that was not cleaned up in the procedure. Maybe it's a part of your ground cleanup, but we put seats 1 through 4 in listen on OE2. Just wanted to know if you're going to clean that up or if I should command them back to the way the procedure started.
Victor, we think seats 1 through 4 were in listen on OE2 to start with. Was that what you were asking about?
Hey, firm. Yeah, the procedure commanded them to listen. I actually don't remember what they started. I thought I saw them in something other than listen. I thought they were in off, but I'm not sure. If you're happy with them the way they're configured now, I will leave it alone.
Yep, we are happy with the current config. Thanks for checking.
Again, this is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. NASA astronaut Victor Glover just completed the SAT mode or search, acquire, and tracking pointing mode developmental flight test objective and was cleaning up some of the tasks associated with that activity. During that, we also heard a call down from NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman, who is the commander of the Orion spacecraft for the Artemis II mission. He noted that they were getting a good view of the moon, and he was able to capture some still imagery of that. So hopefully in the next day or so, we'll be able to see some of that imagery and share it with the world. The team here in Mission Control is also working to reconfigure some of the spacecraft so that CSA or Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen can complete his scheduled daily exercise using the flywheel device.
Integrity Houston for Christina and Acoustic Monitor.
Go ahead. And also, before we start into that, can you verify toilets go?
Checking. Christina, toilet is go. We are okay giving you a blanket go for the toilet at this point. We will call you if we need you to have a period of stand down.
Okay, thank you. We copy that. And so does that mean we can disregard any no-use bans that are on Optimus? And I actually haven't checked Optimus, but we are going to completely go on the operating principle of we are good unless you have told us not?
Christina, A firm, you can ignore the toilet unavailable for wastewater dumps in the crew band, and we'll try to have a little better story for you tomorrow morning on the rationale and what the plan will be going forward. For Acoustic Monitor, we were checking on if the battery change helped, and if not, we had a couple other ideas.
Yes, Jackie, I was just waiting on that DFTO to be over to give you a call about it. Changed out the batteries, had the same issue, but kind of persisted, and what was happening was it was just turning off randomly at different times, but usually very early on in the record process, and never actually was successful recording. I continued to try, did a couple hard restarts, taking out batteries, putting them back, and eventually was able to get all 5 sample locations recorded. I did do them individually just to make sure that I got the 5 recordings and didn't lose them all if it shut down in the middle of one. Will that be okay?
Christina, that sounds great. Thank you for wrangling the batteries. And a little bit of intel we had was that sometimes those batteries do have difficulty seating. So maybe one of the swap outs helped a little. But if in future activities it continues to be a struggle, there is an option to power via the PCD. So just let us know.
Perfect. I had noticed that connector, and I was going to ask about that as well. At the time I put it away, it was acting pretty good. So maybe that battery reseat was the magic answer. Thanks for the insight, and I think we can call this one good.
Sounds great. Christina, one more follow-up on the acoustic monitor. When you recorded the toilet, did you do it by opening the lid or pulling the funnel off?
Funnel.
Houston copies.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We just heard some communication there between NASA astronaut Christina Cook, who is one of the mission specialists aboard the Orion spacecraft, and the Capcom or capsule communicator, which you can see there on the center of your screen, Jackie Mahaffey. Christina is currently working through another developmental flight test objective related to the toilet acoustics. So as part of this objective, they're collecting some acoustic or sound data related to the toilet on board the Orion spacecraft to evaluate the operational sound levels.
Integrity Houston, for exercise, arrays and ARS are configured. You are go for exercise. And let us know if you'd be willing for us to come on board.
Okay, Jackie. Yeah, you're welcome on board. We did go ahead and set up the Z9 for the T-shirt shroud activity, but I think we can put something back together for you.
Jeremy, for clarification, are you reporting that you completed the Z9 shroud build, or were you in the middle of it and would need to tear down to set up cameras?
No, it's just that I took down the HHP camera to use the articulating arm for the Z9, and I wasn't sure, that wasn't a pink activity, a flexible activity, so I wasn't sure if we were going to have something in that window during that period to test this out or not.
Jeremy, it was absolutely okay to set up the Z9 shroud early, and really it's just a spatial logistics check there, so we didn't need a particular target, and if you are happy with how you would set that up on the flyby day, then you are welcome to take whatever you need to set up other cameras.
Okay, understood. It's a little bit hard to test how effective the shroud is, and if the shroud gets in the way of the lens. That's a short lens, the 35 millimeter lens, and so until we have a target to take a picture or two of, it's going to be a bit tricky to know.
Houston copies.
And this is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. There is some communication there between CSA, or Canadian Space Agency, astronaut Jeremy Hansen and the Capcom, or Capsule Communicator, here in Mission Control, discussing a Z9 shroud. That was a timelined activity for the day, where Jeremy was assessing a makeshift shroud setup for the upcoming lunar flyby scheduled for flight day 6 to help capture better sunrise and sunset imagery and avoid some glares on the window. This is Artemis Mission Control. We're currently 2 days, 3 hours, and 52 minutes into the Artemis II mission following a liftoff from NASA's Kennedy Space Center on April 1st at 5:35 p.m. Central, 6:35 p.m. Eastern. The crew has, of course, been capturing a ton of imagery during their mission, and this image there on your screen is a recent image that was uploaded and shared publicly. It was captured by the crew on the second flight day of the mission, and it shows the Orion spacecraft there in the foreground with the moon in its distance, and it was captured by a camera on the tip of one of its solar array wings, or SOS. And there are 4 cameras, one on each of the 4 solar arrays, that have been capturing imagery throughout, and they often provide our live views as well. So now, on flight day 3, the Orion spacecraft is about 139,000 miles away from the moon, so a little bit closer since yesterday, and it will continue to close in on that target, the moon, with the lunar flyby and closest approach being made on flight day 6.
Houston, please confirm good video.
Hey, we are going to do an ACU swap, and we got good video, but just know we're going to lose voice for a minute while we do ACU swap.
And there on your screen, you're now seeing a live look inside the cabin of the Orion spacecraft. Again, that spacecraft was named Integrity by its crew. And so you can see a live look as the 4 crew members, NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Cook, along with CSA, or Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, work through the remainder of their activities for their day as they are starting to round out flight day 3. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see NASA astronaut Victor Glover there.
Integrity, Houston, voice check after ACU config.
Houston, we have you loud and clear after ACU swap.
Reed, we have you the same, and a little bit of clarification. It was not a swap. That was my mistake on words, but was some reconfiguration after the DFTO.
And there you can see NASA astronaut Jeremy Hansen giving a thumbs up to the screen, acknowledging the words that just came up from Capcom capsule communicator Jackie Mahaffey here in the room, who you can see on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Also, in the live view inside the Orion spacecraft, you can see CSA, or Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen as he sets up to complete his daily exercise using the flywheel device. The flywheels uses a series of pulleys along with a torque limiter, which is encased in a frame about the size of an extra large shoebox, which functions like a rowing machine. And so each of the crew members typically has a scheduled block of exercise time each day, and so Reed and Victor have already completed their exercise for the day, and then Jeremy and Christina will complete it now in the second half of the day.
Houston, from integrity, just since it's been a while, the CO2 reading is 1.2 at the start of exercise.
Houston copies.
And this is Artemis Mission Control. There on your screen, you can see NASA astronaut Christina Cook floating into view and now disappearing out of view again. And then on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you can also see a view inside Mission Control here in Houston, and that is the Capcom console. And next to that is the Flight Director console. So the Flight Director for the Orbit 2 ship, which is currently on console, is Flight Director Paul Kanya. The Capcom or capsule communicator is Jackie Mahaffey. And then also joining Jackie on the Capcom console is NASA astronaut Tracy Dyson. There on the center of your screen, you can see Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen as he uses the flywheel exercise device. To use this device, the crew places a strap between their feet, and then they pull on the strap, which allows them to perform different types of exercises, including aerobic, resistive, and rowing exercises. By strapping their feet against the footplate of the device, they can also use the bar to perform exercises such as bicep curls, bent over rows, and deadlifts. And then using a harness, the crew can also perform exercises such as squats and calf raises. Each of the crew members completes daily exercise, and it's an essential requirement for human spaceflight missions because without consistent exercise routines, the zero gravity environments can cause a reduction in muscle mass and bone density. Similar to the International Space Station, the crew there also completes daily exercise using different devices because they have a little bit more room to work with. So on the International Space Station, they have an ARED machine, which is a resistive exercise device, a treadmill type machine, as well as a bicycle that they rotate between depending on the surgeon-prescribed exercise routines for their missions. But here on the Orion spacecraft, they have the single exercise device known as the flywheel, which you see there, which can, of course, perform a variety of different exercises.
What was your flight note number?
Integrity Houston, we are going to put in work a wastewater dump. Toilet is no-go. We'll take a thumbs up if you copy. Copy thumbs.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We are currently 2 days, 4 hours, and 23 minutes into the Artemis II mission, following a liftoff at 5:35 p.m. Central, 6:35 p.m. Eastern from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The crew is currently awake and working through their timelined activities for the day. Canadian Space Agency, or CSA, astronaut Jeremy Hansen is currently completing his daily exercise. There's also some checkouts of medical devices taking place. And then earlier in the day, the crew also completed a CPR demonstration. And then originally planned for today was an outbound trajectory correction burn, but it was determined that that burn was no longer needed due to the accuracy of the TLI, or translunar injection burn, which took place yesterday, April 2nd. The next burn on this outbound journey to the moon is scheduled for flight day 4, and that will be the outbound trajectory correction 2 burn. Coming up, the crew will also complete some lunar cabin configurations, and then they will have a public affairs event before they have some private medical conferences, as well as a private conference with the flight director here in Mission Control, which is currently Paul Kanya leading the Orbit 2 team, and then they will get ready for their pre-sleep and sleep activities and then head into their sleep time. Currently on your screen, you can see a view of the Artemis Real-Time Orbit website, or ARO. This website is available at nasa.gov/trackartemis, and you can continuously monitor Orion's data and telemetry on its way to the moon. So the Orion spacecraft is currently about 133,000 miles away from Earth and about 138,000 miles away from the moon, so about halfway between both.
Integrity on 1 for hygiene towel quantities.
Go ahead.
Hey Jackie, can you confirm that we have 20 total, or do we have 5 total?
Checking. Integrity Houston, no action on the enabled ECLIS caution related to the wastewater dump, and we'll look at it from the ground.
Copy that.
This is Artemis Mission Control. You're currently seeing a live look again inside the Orion spacecraft. In the center of the screen is NASA astronaut Christina Cook, who is serving as one of the two mission specialists on the Artemis II mission. She's currently completing her planned daily exercise using the flywheel exercise device, which operates similar to a rowing machine but can complete different types of exercises, including resistive and aerobic exercises.
Integrity Houston for a hygiene towel answer.
Go ahead.
Here, there are in fact 20 total towels on board. You can find more in locker Echo, purple bag 15, and they are hiding inside unused fecal canisters.
Okay, outstanding. Thanks, Jackie.
And you just heard some communication there between the Capcom or capsule communicator here, Mission Control Jackie Mahaffey, and the crew on board the Orion spacecraft as they were working to track down or count some hygiene towels. Here in Mission Control, the console responsible for some of those items is known as IVA, or the Intravehicular Activity Console, and they are responsible for supporting the astronauts and their activities inside the Orion spacecraft. And this flight controller monitors the crew's well-being, and they also provide suit support, hygiene, and internal crew support tasks throughout the mission.
Houston, integrity timeline question for lunar cabin config.
Go ahead.
Hey, with the delays to exercise, curious if you have thoughts on how we handle the pre-lunar flyby cabin config, or we can make a suggestion if you need one.
Hey, Victor, we'd like to hear your suggestion. We've been talking a little bit about the timeline and priorities for the rest of the day, and we know it's going to be a squeeze. What you thinking?
We'd like to finish the exercise and delay starting that cabin config, if that's okay with the science team.
And Victor, when you say delay, do you have a time estimate for us? We're just looking ahead at some of the blue box activities and thinking ahead to the rest of the shuffle.
Yeah, we were thinking 10 minutes, but that's why if you have a recommendation, we will take your recommendation.
Integrity Houston, for timeline, we are okay with flighting the lunar flyby cabin config about 10 minutes to the right. We do want to aim to give you that full duration of that activity, but we'd like it to be complete by the start of the DSN EMERCOM DFTO. It's going to be most useful to do that activity together.
Yep, that's what we were planning, and then if we need to throw a couple of minutes into lunar flyby cabin config later, we might call you back about doing that too. But okay, we'll slide it to the right 10 minutes, and we'll be done by DSN EMERCOM checkout.
Sounds like a plan.
This is Artemis Mission Control. There on the far left hand of your screen, you can see NASA astronaut Victor Glover, who has been communicating directly with Mission Control here in Houston regarding some of their timelined activities for the remainder of the day. Namely, they've been discussing an upcoming lunar flyby cabin configuration.
A couple more pieces of data for you on the timeline shuffle. The avatar photo and toilet maintenance are flexible, so we don't have a concern with you pushing into that time. You could pull the avatar forward. The second person does not necessarily have to be Christina. Copy, Tom.
And they were discussing moving the lunar flyby cabin configuration. During this particular activity, the crew will develop and document an ideal configuration of the Orion spacecraft internal cabin for the lunar flyby observation period, which will take place on flight day 6. And they will deploy various cameras and equipment that will be used during the flyby, and also work to adjust the spacecraft's lighting and positioning of each crew member to ensure once they make it to that flyby on flight day 6 that everything is well